was the explanation that was given to you as to why some people would suffer eternal and conscious torment?
Basically because God was holy, and as a holy God would require a punishment that was everlasting, because it was committed by against a holy God. And when I first heard that line of reasoning, in my mind it seemed to make sense. It didn't come until many years later that I started to truly question that. And there was a proponent of this view that was very well known in early Americana history by the name of Jonathan Edwards. And I read what he had to say about it, and I took note that in his article or sermon that he wrote about that particular topic, he used 1,700 words to defend that concept that sin against a holy God deserved eternal punishment. But I noticed that not once did he use one scripture to back that up. And after my own personal study of God's judgments from Genesis to Revelation, I came to the conclusion that all God's judgments have a purpose, and they're measured. And I didn't see any support, unless you misinterpret or mistranslate this word aeonius, to mean endless time, then you won't see it in the scripture. In fact, when Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount said, "With what judgment you judge, you shall be judged, and with the measure you measure, it shall be measured unto you." So right from the outset, Jesus is already talking about God's judgments being measured. And it's very interesting to note that in the first chapter, in chapter 5 of the Sermon on the Mount, the first time Jesus mentions the fire of Gehenna is he presents a short story of 3 or 4 verses expressing, and then he relates to it as a prison. He's talking about if you're on your way and you're at odds with your brother, make peace with him before you go before the judge, and the judge turns over to the officer, you get thrown into prison. After the word prison, which refers to what he said in verse 22, Gehenna fire, relates to it as a prison, then it says, you will not get out of there. He said, "Truly I say unto you, you will not come out of there until you have paid the last cent." So right away, all of a sudden, and how many times have I read that? And now that my mind is sensitized to this whole idea that it's really not in the scripture, now I saw it so blatantly, and it was right there on the lips of Jesus the first time he mentions Gehenna. So, and then of course that's repeated also in the other gospel and 2 other times.